I had some time earlier, just out of nowhere. I had this random emotion hit me of like, will I ever truly find true love, and will I ever be married and have kids and grow old with someone? Because one of the things that I've always dreamed of about myself for my life is being married and having kids and growing old with someone. Like I just said, I've always dreamed of being able to say I was with my man for decades, and through the highs and the lows, through thick and thin, through sickness and in health, I was with this man for decades. One thing I'm noticing as I'm getting older and as I'm dating and going on dates and things like that consistently, I'm noticing that it's becoming a it's like a shock value when guys ask me on the first date, and I'm so tired of the first dates, honey. I'm so tired of the first dates. But let's just be for real. You got to go on a date to eventually get married. So, it is what it is, but one thing I'm always asked on these first dates is what are you looking for? What are your goals? What are your dreams? What are your aspirations? And my answer is always consistent. I want to be married. I want to have kids. I want to grow old with someone. I want to be able to say, decades from now, that I was with my man for decades. I was with my man. We've been in a relationship for 20 years. We've been married for 18 years. And sometimes I wonder and I think, like, do I believe these things because of what I've been exposed to, which at large, the LGBTQIA ETC plus community only makes up a fraction of the entire like population of the world. Like majority of the world is heterosexual, right? So then I think like, well, do I only believe these things because it's just what I'm used to seeing? I think in my entire lifetime, and maybe it's just because I'm in Alabama, but in my entire lifetime, I've only seen one gay married couple with a child. And I've been alive 31 years, baby. I've been there and I've done that. And I think it's shocking because being that, well, I won't speak for the whole LGBTQIA ETC plus community, but I will say as a gay person, I would think because compared to the vast population of the world, the gay community is the minority. And I would think like since we're the minority, it would be easier to hone in, the things that I want out of life and to hold in at least what I want as far as a relationship, right? Hell no, it seems to be harder. It seems to be more complicated. It seems to be more of a struggle because the options are limited. And it seems like at large with the gays, commitment and monogamy isn't at the forefront of dating. It seems like not only just what I've experienced, but just from what I see, from couples on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc., etc. It seems like the gays have this redundant attitude of like a popcorn relationship, basically. So basically, we're getting a popcorn bag, we're putting it in a microwave, and it's so exciting watching it pop, for that 2 to 3 minutes. It's so exciting. And then once the process is over, it's like deuces on to the next one. And I equivalent that to just gay dating. Like it seems like after we get past the whole honeymoon phase, you get tired of each other and then boom, that's it. On to the next one. It seems like nobody wants to truly settle down and commit. And one thing that has always been a fear of mine that I've always said I would never be like, I would never want to be like this kind of person. I would never want to be someone who is in their third, well, not 30s, I'm 31, but I would never want to be, 40, 50, 60, and just now accepting the idea of settling down. And I never wanted that because it's like in all of those years, well, let me say this. I don't believe in soulmates, right? I don't believe in soulmates. I truly feel like any two people can come together if you're compatible enough. If you have more commonalities than things that make you different or things that you don't like about each other, then you can truly make it work. So that's why I don't believe in soulmates. I don't believe that God or the universe or whoever is in the ether has specifically made someone just for me. I feel like that's really limiting, and I feel like because I'm gay, that's really, really limiting. I've always thought that two people who are in their right mind can come together and cultivate something beautiful, cultivate a beautiful monogamous relationship. And not everyone wants to be married, not everyone wants to have kids, but I feel like in the grand scheme of things, more people than not would want that, or at least I want that. And because I want that, I feel like the universe has to have somebody out there who wants the same thing. But I'm realizing that I'm struggling to find that. And when I reflect on my life and when I reflect on just my experiences as far as dating and love, one thing that has always been consistent is the fact that all these guys are shocked by the fact that when they ask me what are my goals in life or what do I want, or how do I see myself in love, and I've always said the same thing, whether it was me and my gold digging life, in my 20s, which I can take accountability for that, and I'll get to that in a bit. But whether it was in my gold digging life or whether it was in my one experience, like where I actually felt like I had found true love and I've actually found somebody who I care about and who I want to be with for the rest of my life. Um, and not even guys that I've actually entered a relationship with, even guys that I just have only casually dated with or without sex, because I've not had sex with every single person that I went on a date with. Um, One thing is consistent. They're all shocked by the fact that I tell them I want to be married, I want to have kids, I want to grow old. They're shocked by that. They're like, I want that too. And it sounds good to them. But when it comes down to applying the actions, when it comes down to doing the work, it always fails. It never works out. And I think it's because at large the gay community doesn't have a true idea or doesn't have maybe representation. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe we just don't have representation that two men can be married, two men can have kids, two men can grow old with each other. Maybe there's so much trauma from childhood. Maybe there are men who have not been themselves all their life. So once they finally, quote unquote, come out the closet, then they feel like they have so many years, or maybe not even come out the closet, but also as well, once they leave their household because they turn 18 and they moved out, or whatever the situation may be, I feel like a lot of men, they think that they have so much time. They think that they have excuse me, they think that they have so much time to get their things together as far as love and commitment goes. And the truth is that we don't. And I don't want to make it sound like, there's an age cap to finding love, because even my aunt, for example, She was widowed. Her husband passed away like in her mid 40s, and she ended up meeting a new man who was also a widow whose wife has passed, and that was probably in their mid 50s, late 50s, and they actually ended up getting married. So love can be found at any time in your life, but what I'm saying is the gays in particular aren't applying the work to actually cultivate that kind of love. They're not actually doing, you know, the hard part of actually honing in commitment and saying, we're going to reap the benefits of all these highs and lows one day. We're going to build this life and we're going to get married, have kids, and look back and say, you know what? This was way worth sticking it out than now being in my 40s and 50s and just now finding love, quote unquote, trying to do the work. I don't ever want to be like these older gays who get on Facebook or whatever and in their old age are either single and still horny or single and just now trying to find somebody to die with. I don't want to die alone. And that's honestly the God's honest truth. I don't want to die alone and I don't ever want to think about, being old and being on my deathbed by myself. Like, I know I have my siblings and my other family members, my nieces and nephews, and even like with my nieces and nephews, I don't want the closest thing to children to be my nieces and nephews. I love them to the core. I would do anything for them, but I also want my own kids. And it's sad because it's like I feel like I see so many older gay men, or just gay people in general, go through this process where they think that they have forever. Because how many people do we actually know live to see 100? How many people that we actually know are 100 years old? I don't know anybody that's 100. I don't even know anybody who has lived to be 100. My grandma died in her 80s. My other grandma died in her 70s, and same for my grandpas. Um, so if we're gonna wait until we're 40 and 50 to finally be serious about, so if we're gonna wait until we're 40 and 50 to finally get serious about love, then that means that we've wasted most of our lifetime, like not even trying, and that we will have only experienced love for only a second, because that's how long life feels. It feels like it's only lived for a second. Like we're here today and we're gone tomorrow. And not everyone wants kids. Not everyone wants to be married, but I do. And so many of these guys that I've went on dates with or have dated or have been in relationships with, they all say the same thing. They want love. They want to be in a relationship. They dream of kids, but how many of us are actually doing the work to cultivate that? How many of us are actually, trying to build that kind of life? I feel like when I think about gay relationships, I think of in a general sense now, I think about, cheating. I think about physical violence, mental abuse, just being toxic, cussing each other out, hitting each other, putting each other down. Like that's not what I want. And I won't deal with it. And I won't stop trying to achieve it. But one thing I will say, like now being in my 30s, is that I really thought by now I would have been married, if not engaged. I really thought by now I would be in a headspace to where me and my partner would be thinking about kids and, building our game plan of how we're going to actually handle kids. And something that bothers me personally is the fact that, I have brothers and sisters who are married and they have kids. And when I think about, that part of life, I feel excluded from those kinds of conversations because I'm not married. I'm not even in a fucking relationship. I'm not the honestly, my siblings, just like everyone else that is straight, and at this point, everyone who is gay at this point seems like that life of marriage and kids is unattainable. It's the odds are against us. But I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way. I don't feel like just because I'm gay, I don't deserve to be in love with someone. And you know what? Here's where I'm going to take accountability. In my 20s, most of my 20s, I was a gold digger, and I'm still a gold digger. Let's just be honest. Once a gold digger, always a gold digger. Because you can't have a man just pouring his money into you, and then just say you're not a gold digger no more. But one thing I will say is like last year, for example, just speaking from experience, last year, for example, I was able to really experience true love, and it happened naturally, and it happened so beautifully, and it was the first time in my life where I felt like, wow, I can actually love somebody, and I can actually, care about somebody. And even though when I was gold digging, I still had dreams of marriage. I still had dreams of kids, but my dreams then were a little different. My dreams then, as a gold digger with those dreams, was like, boom. I won't have to worry about money because I have a man who can provide, and I won't have to worry about, not being with my kids or sending them to daycare because I have a man who can provide, you know. Once I got to experience love, there was a slight shift in my brain where it was like, wow, so I can really be married and be in love with the person that I'm with. I can actually have kids and like be in love with my entire family, and not just be like, oh, I use my man and I just love my kids. And when my man passes away, I have my kids. One last year I ended up dating someone who, whether he knows it or not, but I've learned this for myself. It was truly like a growth for me. It was like a stepping stone in my life because, again, I intertwined money in relationships to the core, to the point where I counted myself out of love. And I remember even giving like dating advice about, sugar daddies and all of this shit and gold digging, which I still believe in. If I meet a man who wants to provide, hey, I'll take it. But I'm a little more open minded now about love because I got to experience it. And even though me and him didn't work out, I'll never forget how beautiful it felt to care about someone else, how beautiful it felt to actually like plan out this whole future with someone. Like I felt like I was in a teenage dream. Like that Katy Perry song, "You think I'm pretty without any makeup on. You think I'm funny when I tell the punchline wrong. I know you get me, so I let my guards come down, down." Like it felt beautiful to feel like someone saw me for me, and it felt beautiful to see someone for them outside of their wallet. Like the money is still important now. I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't fucking with no broke nigga. Okay, the money's still important, but I got more nuanced. Okay, in the idea of love, and even though that didn't work out, I still think that it was a pivotal moment for me to really like open my eyes to all the possibilities. One thing I think that I struggle with as far as dating is that I am conventionally attractive. I am, you know, considered attractive in the general sense. And, if we want to just cut all the bullshit, let's just be for real. Things like colorism exist. Things like pretty privilege exists, which ties into colorism, which, you know, I was able to take advantage of. But because I was able to take advantage of that, a lot of men in the gay community put this assumption on me that like I'm promiscuous, or put this assumption on me that I have hoes and I have a roster, and I do have a roster. I don't have hoes, but I do have a roster. But what good is the roster if none of the guys that are on the roster are interested in what I'm interested in, provider or not? If I have all these guys who think that, they have a whole lifetime to find love, then what good is that for me? That's not really much of a roster, huh? Um, just because I'm gay, I never believed that like I should be counted out of the, and I say normal sparingly because nobody is normal. There's no such thing as normal. We're all different. And we all have our own unique experience: gay, straight, lesbian, bisexual, asexual, whatever, whatever, Christian, Muslim, atheist. There is no normal, okay? Um, but because of that, and because I get to write my own rules to my own life, I decided a long time ago, and I'm still standing firm, 10 toes down on it, that just because I'm gay, I don't have to count myself out of, marriage and having kids, and I dream of like, my wedding, and I dream of like waking up, and waking up at 5 6 in the morning to get my kids ready for school, to see my husband get ready for work. I do plan to work, not in the sense of like everybody else, but entrepreneurship, um, and that's the thing, like, even with like this whole gold digging thing, people think that gold diggers don't want to work. We just want to stay at home. We want to work. We just want to work easy. We want to have our own business. We want to create our own financial freedom for our kids, leave a legacy for our kids. So yeah, I dream of waking up and having kids. And it's crazy because I see, like, my siblings do this. I see my siblings do it. They have these family trips, and they talk about my nieces and nephews. And sometimes, as I get older, I think, like, will I ever experience that? Because I I'm gay, and it seems like the gays don't want that. It seems like the gays just want to be promiscuous and get on grind him, or it's called grinder, but I call it grind him because it's so funny to me. It's such a joke to me that I just have to make a joke about it. That fucking bullshit out. But these gays would rather just have these popcorn relationships where, yeah, it's exciting for those 2 3 minutes that it's in a microwave, or translation. It's exciting during that honeymoon phase, and then it starts to get toxic, and then it's cheating and infidelity and putting each other down. And I don't want that. I don't want that, and I would never deal with that from a man, or from anybody at that. But like I see, my siblings just raise my nieces and nephews, and be married, and have these conversations about childcare and all of these things. And I feel like they look at me like, we feel a little sorry for you, because it's like, because you're gay, you're automatically excluded from this kind of life. And it's like, I'm not excluded from this kind of life. I want to be included, but I can't do it by myself. I can't marry myself. I don't dream of being a single parent. You know, I could adopt my own child, but I don't dream of that. I've always dreamed of having the nuclear household. And if we want to call it me just trying to replicate the heteronormative idea, then so be it. So be it. But I don't see nothing wrong with, you know, having that as my legacy, especially as a gay person, especially for the gays generations from now, in decades from now, that'll look at us at large and say, oh, all we're supposed to be is just fucking and that's it. That's our existence. Just fucking and living our best life and to a lot of people, gay or straight, that's their best life. I'm not against that. It's just not what I want. And what I'm saying is it seems like it's not something that a lot of gay people want. And I deal with very distinguished men. I don't deal with, just any kind of men. I deal with again, I ain't saying she a gold digger. Hey, but she ain't fucking with no broke. Again, I deal with distinguished men, but the commonality is always the same. They ask me on the first date, what are you looking for? What are your life goals? And I say, I want to have kids. I want to be married. I dream to, one day me and my man see I dream to my man, and I dream like decades from now to be like telling our kids, you better humble yourself because me and your daddy was sexy as hell. We was out here breaking hearts, baby, when we was your age. Cause you know how like we'll look at our parents or our grandparents or our aunts or uncles or whoever that may be in your life, we look at these older people when we're so young and we're like, please, you don't know shit about game. You don't know shit. I dream to like have those kinds of conversations with my kids. Like, not conversations, but jokes rather. With my kids, like, baby, me and your daddy, hey, baby, go pull out the photo album. Go pull the photo album out so we can show these little bitches that we was breaking hearts when we was that age. I dream of that. I dream of like, seeing our kids accomplish things, get their diploma, get their college degree, or become entrepreneurs and then start their own family. And then, me and my man becoming grandparents, we have grandkids, and then we travel the world with our kids and with our grandkids, and then with just us, the big house, the cars, the doctor visits. Oh, eat your honey nut cherry. Oh, I'm on the phone with my girls, or I'm on the phone with my siblings. Like, oh, my baby, they said his cholesterol up, so now I gotta switch to this salt free diet. Like, his blood pressure, whatever, whatever. Like, I dream of that. I don't dream of being 40 and 50 and 60 and just now trying to be serious about finding love. I don't dream of being toxic, and I don't think nobody dreams of being toxic, but at least in a gay dating culture, that seems to be the standard. It seems to be the standard to fucking just fuck, cheat. 6 months to a year later, 2 years tops maybe, we break up, start the process all over again. I don't dream that for myself. I don't want that for myself. And if if by chance, just being real, if by chance like I don't get that life, but I'm gonna get it because I believe in it, and because I believe in it, I know there has to be another man that believes in it too, and I know like there are good men out here. I know it. I believe it at least. I maybe don't know it, but I believe it at least. I have hope for it because I'm one of them, you know. Um, because I have that hope and that belief, like, I'm still do what I got to do. I'm still going these dates, and I'm still try to hone in that idea and create that life, that legacy that I want for myself. I don't want my legacy to be I never got married. I don't want my legacy to be the stereotypical gay. If it's stereotypical to get married and have kids as a straight person, then it must be stereotypical to not get married and have kids as a gay person. Or at least the odds are already highly against us, you know. I don't want that. I want to break the rules and I want to create new ideas and new visuals for the generations to come after me to say, he did it, or not even he, because it takes two. So me and my husband, they did it. I want people to look at us and say they did it, because now that I think about it, I've only seen in real life like one married gay couple with a child. And maybe it's just because I'm in Alabama, but it shouldn't matter where I'm at. Because there are plenty of gays in Alabama, hundreds of gay people in Alabama, hundreds. And I bet you this, so many of these gays will approach me. So many of these gays will approach me with lust, and they never approach me with the idea of like marriage, and they never approach me with the idea of like, starting a family and building a legacy. And I know it's not because it's something wrong with me. It has to be something wrong with the culture. It has to be something wrong with, maybe there isn't representation. I don't know, but I just don't want to wait. I just don't want to wait, and I don't want to be old, and I have this fear that I'm gonna die alone, and that I'll never, and I'm not saying necessarily I'll die alone. Like, I'm sure when I die, there'll be my nieces and nephews and my siblings and all of that. But I also want my husband. I also want my own kids. I also want to be able to say, this is my man. And I've been with him for 20, 30 years, and we've been married for 18, 28 years. We've seen everything together. We've experienced everything together. I want to have someone who I can say, hey, this man knows me and I know him, because we have stood the test of time. I'm 31. 20 years from now, I'm be 51. I can't imagine like just being a old hornball. And I'm not saying like all old gay men have just only been promiscuous their whole life, but at large, a lot of them have. Let's just be fucking for real. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to, I don't, and then let's also be for real about this. By the time that we're 40 and 50 and 60, we're not going to be in our prime, at least not in the sense of looks and attractiveness. Like, I'm pretty sure when I'm 50 and 60, I'll look amazing for my age group. But we're not going to be able to compete with these 20-year-olds and these 30-year-olds. We're not going to be able to compete with that. And we shouldn't have to compete, because the culture needs to be shifted to where we can come together. If so many men, gay men are traumatized, so many, and not all of them. If so many gay men are traumatized by not having a father in the home, or by not having a mother in the home, or by not, being accepted, or having a BDL, or just whatever, I would think that would be more of the push to create the life, because that's always been my push. I didn't have my father. If anything, my father gave me the biggest fuck you in my lifetime. The biggest fuck you in my lifetime. And one of the biggest motivations for me to build this life that I want is because I want to be able to have love and create support and create a family bond and you know turn my life around and experience, and not only experience but give the love that I never had, not only just from my father but just from this world. Because even though, like, yeah, we're in a time now where LGBTQIA ETC plus community is most accepted than any time in the world, in history. At the same time, it took leg work to do that. People have sacrificed. There have been people generations before me that have sacrificed for my generation, the millennials and the Gen Z, to take advantage and have and live this free life. Like, n- people have sacrificed. And what are we doing with those sacrifices? We're sitting here making a mockery of it. Fucking having these hookups and these popcorn relationships, and, like, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe, maybe being gay is a curse. Who knows? But, you know, it definitely isn't a choice to be gay, because why would I choose to be like this? If I was straight, I guarantee, and I won't say I guarantee, but the odds are a million times higher that right now, if I was exactly who I am right now, physically, but I was straight, I'm pretty sure I would be engaged, if not married, and I would already have a child by now. Pretty sure. And that would be, my life's greatest work, my family, the family that I committed to. Where are the guys who are saying, the gay guys rather, where are the gay guys who are saying, I want love, and I want family, and I want to leave a legacy, and it takes work. It takes hard work. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I haven't even experienced it, and I know it's not going to be easy, but I know it's going to be worth it. I know it's going to be worth it, because if that's not worth it, then this whole promiscuous lifestyle and dealing with these lustful men who only approach me out of lust and all that, that's definitely not worth it. And I don't want to go through this for the rest of my life. Hell no. This shit is ghetto. Ghetto, the ghetto. And I just hope that one day I'll look back at this video maybe and I'll say, wow, just when I thought I was like almost counting myself out, it actually happened for me. And like I said, like, one of the most recent blessings for me um was the fact that I got to experience true love. And I knew it was true love because it was also the first time ever where I didn't even want to cheat. Like, not that I wanted to cheat. Nah, I wanted to cheat when I was gold digging. I ain't gonna lie, I wanted to cheat, but I was never stupid. I was never stupid. I wasn't gonna fuck up my bag trying to go cheat. But this was like, I knew I loved truly because I didn't even have the thought process capacity of even cheating. It was like, no, I want to be with this man. And I'm just waiting for someone who feels the same way. So I don't know if I'm having like a gay culture issue. I don't know if I'm having just a regular dating issue, but looking at, like, reading the room of gay dating, it doesn't look that good. There's always a breakup happening. There's always some toxic shit happening. It's always somebody exposing and beating, and when I say exposing, I don't mean like down low, but I mean, like, Oh, let me tell you how this nigga really get down and all that. That's just not my vibe. That's just not how I get down. And I just had like this emotional moment tonight where it's like, what is going on? You know, all these guys will approach me and all that, but I know it's just out of lust. I know it's just out of lust because it's telling on these first dates when I say I want marriage and kids and to have a partner, a husband for life. And every single time they're always like, I want that too. And they may really do want it. They just don't believe that they can have it. And that's the difference with me. I believe that I can have it. I just wish that more gays believed in it as well. Because like I said, I don't believe in soulmates. I believe that two people can consciously make an effort to be together if you have enough commonalities between each other because nobody is perfect. Nobody is perfect. And you know what? That's something else. I knew I experienced love because all of the bad qualities about the guy weren't even an issue for me. It was like, I accept it because the qualities that are great are amazing. And because I know I felt that way one time, I feel like I can feel it again. Because that one time last year when I experienced it, when I met that guy, um, I didn't even believe that I could even have those kinds of emotions. I thought that I would only ever know using men for money and that would just be my life. Detach, you know, get what you need, benefit, and emotionally, I don't care. And then I got to experience love, and it really like shifted. It was a pivotal moment, like I said earlier. It was a pivotal moment for me because I couldn't believe it was me. I couldn't believe it was me, and that I could really feel that way about somebody. And even if I never feel, or even if my dreams never get fulfilled, as far as like marriage and children and stuff, I at least hope that in the dating scene for the gays, because I don't know if this is like a LGBTQIA etc plus issue. Like I don't know if the lesbians and stuff are experiencing this as well. But at least I hope in the gay community, like monogamy and commitment and truly putting your soul into someone can be more accepted instead of like trauma bonding and trauma loving and just using some people as temporary placeholders. And I know like not everyone is meant to be in your life forever. I'm a Libra, just like that Gorilla song, just like the air I'm everywhere. If it doesn't work out with one guy, I understand. Move on to the next because you're gonna just be wasting time just harping on the past. But at the same time, as a Libra, I am the sign of love. I love love, and now that I got to experience love, I crave it even more. I look forward to it. It's like now, and I'm guilty. I look at some guys with lust. True enough, I'm I'm a man. I'm a human. Let's say that. Forget man or woman. I'm a human. I'm not perfect, but I lead more now when I am approached by men who want to go on a date or ask me on a date or anything. I lead more now with maturity and understanding that I'm in a position where I can really shift the narrative. And I can also invite a man into my world who wants to shift the narrative with me and we can shift it together and look back at it 30 years from now when we're 60 years old and say, I'm so happy we shifted the narrative because our friend so and so, he talking about some him and his boyfriend just broke up. And who got time for that? Nobody has time for that. So that's my think piece on why the gays have a problem. And I need more solutions. I want to experience the solution. And I know not everyone wants what I want, but I want it. And because I want it, I know that there has to be another man who wants it as well. With that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you feel like you have an idea about what's going on, let me know. If you think that I'm crazy, let me know. Maybe I need a reality check. If you think I'm not crazy, great. I appreciate it. um, but yeah, this was an impromptu video. Like I just was really just in my mind, just thinking about my future and like where I see myself. And I just got emotional about it. So thank you guys for watching.